We for people, I think most people know what we've been doing. In fact, I've turned in some of this slides for the Banff report, but at the meeting. But basically, I show it most times just to kind of keep us oriented to what we've been doing. And if anyone new shows up, I try to show those. And I thank everyone for their participation. If anyone has any issues for discussion, I certainly welcome those. And even today, if you want to bring anything up, just feel free. It's pretty open, and I think we have some extra time today. We have someone else joining, so yes, again, if you have anything you want to present also, that's anything, and we're pretty open as far as what digital pathology means, but this is the summary I gave to Candice actually at the end of the Banff meeting, and this is kind of summarizes the main things that we've been doing. Our 3 aims are image banks and collections, platforms to share algorithms in competitions and trials, which the first one of those pilot image banks is shown here. June Kong, who's on some of these, a collaborator of mine, set a simple one up, and we can expand that further. I think he's working on building that, and he's actually published a paper on that recently. We do maintain a Twitter and a YouTube, so and actually, if you have anything you want me to tweet, I'm welcome to do that. And then we put some of these up on YouTube. And then as you can see here, which we really appreciate, the group which I mentioned before in Radboud, their diagnostic image analysis group, or study they call the Diagraph study. They're going to be on in 2 weeks to present this more and some more logistics on that. This is showing a little bit of that there. It's going to involve staining of PAS slides. They're going to give blocks to the people who are part of the study, and then they're going to actually get those people to stain the slides, and then they're going to then do immunohistochemistry on top of that, and that's going to be really good. And then they'll actually get the groups to scan those too. So it'll involve different groups doing different stains, different scanners. And then there'll be a challenge, just like the breast cancer challenge, which has been done. And then, it'll allow people to test their algorithms, and pathologists will be involved in scoring some of those too, I believe, to look at inter-observer variations and things like that. So Jesper has interacted with them a lot, I think, and he's on now too. So thanks for joining, and I appreciate that. And we turned in Panaki has been on several of these calls, and he presented at the Banff meeting, and I just thought I should include his slide again to illustrate a lot of the things that he's been doing. I think one of the most exciting thing is the Hail AI, so human AI loop, which he has to look at giving feedback to the algorithms. And actually involved in that is Yul this is showing how Yul Balis's Viper algorithm, which he's presented in the past, interacts with this. And so he definitely presented that at the Banff meeting, and we're going to include that. That's already in the paper which we're working on, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And also Jesper presented, and that was exciting. And this is just showing a quick summary of his amazing work, and some I really liked some of his observations there at the meeting, and so that was really helpful to give everyone things to think about as far as when you're measuring these algorithms. You may want to say some more about this. I don't want to take too much of your time, I think, but Jesper, do you have anything to say on this?
I think you're doing great.
Oh, I don't want to butcher it. I was going to move us.
No worries.
Yeah, but I just thought I should show this again and orient people as to what but I think most of the people on the call were actually there, and so I think they really you know really thought a lot of this study, and some of the people have even been involved in the study, looking at how to segment the biopsies, how to give virtual Banff scores and things like that. I really liked what you said about the DICE measurements, and not just looking at overlap, but looking at number of things that you segment in there, and so I thought that was a great observation. So yeah, and and again, we have the YouTube and the Digital Pathology Working Group Twitter page. One of the things that I might want to talk about, that I thought we might want to talk about today, although I think he resolved it, but I was going to bring it up just in case he wanted to. Kim had mentioned to me about document version tracking and control. And I don't know if this group might want to help you out on that, or if you still want to talk about that, or
we seem to have resolved it a very simple way. I calculated what it would cost to version control automatically, and over years it would be hundreds of thousands of dollars. You can argue well spent or not. But why do we need that? Banff is only 10 tables. It's really a small amount of data. Our current provider says that the cost of the text we have is 16 cents a month. There's so little text. And so we decided we can do version control by hand, to have rules that we all follow, and it doesn't need to be automated. And the cost of that is no higher than what we're already doing, which I think is $34.60 Canadian a month. So that's what our website currently costs us. Yeah, so that was basically the outcome. We have rules for version control, but the volume of stuff we're doing is not big enough that it needs to be automated.
Kim, and you're talking about version control of what exactly?
Of the central repository for the Banff classification. In other words, in the future, we'll have a website that you go to see Banff. And that will appear very soon. We've sort of had a provisional version ready, and actually Candice is a part of like the last steps to create this thing. So then when it changes in the future, you have to definitely indicate that the old version is old and it's not the current one, and then give a name to the new one. Yeah, so that's what version control in it, and it would be the same for all organs. So all the organs would have a central repository ultimately, and various versions, and only one version would be the current version. People doing AI and various algorithmic things, they wouldn't be rigidly stuck with whatever the basic thing is. They could modify or change it for their own purposes, but that wouldn't be a new version. That would just be something that they're doing at their end with the current version. So that was the outcome that we came to. It was an entirely political meeting. It was sort of interesting. There very little science and a lot of sort of force of personality and that sort of thing. So it was very much like the early days of Banff that we said we'd never go back to. We get back into force of personality and politics. So that's And I'm happy to say that, you know, Candice wasn't there, so you can't blame her for anything. She's blameless. She's a part of you know, the good side. So yeah. So that's probably more detail than you needed about version control.
Well, Candace's paper is very useful in that and helping. That was very helpful in putting things together. And, you know, I think that, you know, we need, the website will be useful that way too. And that sounds like a good plan as far as version control.
Yeah, and you may wonder, what about the tension between selling access to the videos and providing them for free? And that's turned out to be very easy because people don't really understand the difference between, you know, a public video and an unlisted video and a private video and that sort of thing. So once you take it off public view, people think that it's gone and they then need to pay for access to it. But that access is only 3 months. So it's only basically October, November, December. So we can make those videos public again in January because the meeting app oriented access will be over at the end of 3 months. So that turned out to be much easier than it seemed at one time. And no one has perceived any conflict as far as I know. And Martin was in the middle of the night, for most of you, Martin got so excited about the page we've created for Banff 2022 and tweeted about it. So that's going to help us a lot, I think. Yeah.
It's great. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, well, yeah, well, so yeah, well, that's very helpful. Well, does anyone have any other topics they'd like to discuss?
Just very briefly, although I can't share the data quite yet. Within KPMP, we're making great strides in spatial transcriptomic data being anchored to histology. So there'll probably be a deposit in the public repository of KPMP relatively soon. But it looks like there's a lot of value in blending the spatial histology, physical space of histology with the expression space. And we're probably just scratching the surface. So it's a very exciting time ahead. And I'm sure a lot of that will map over to opportunities within transplantation biology.
Yeah.
Are you using, yeah.
Yeah, that was the obvious next step. You know, single cell transcriptomics, the human cell atlas was very exciting, but if it's just random cells, it's kind of limited. Once you have where the cells are and how they relate to each other, then you really have something.
Exactly. Plus, there may be statistical bridges once discovery is carried out, where subvisual information in the histology is all that is needed to impute. So not infer, but actually impute with high statistical reliability the equivalent underlying molecular variant or transformation, which means then the inexpensive process of doing histology becomes a surrogate for molecular analytics in some cases.
Wonderful.
Very powerful second win for histology.
Yeah, we need that. People think light microscopic examination is old and tired, but this will bring us
not at all. Plus,
back to life. Yeah.
People used to say we're going to grind it up in a test tube and histology will go away. But just the anatomic frame of reference, this has nothing to do with molecular even. The surgeon wants to know if the tumor is clear of the margin. How are you going to do that in bulk methods? And the answer is you're not. You have to look at the histology. histology is going nowhere, which I think is a good thing. I mean, you have to look at
Yeah.
the tissue.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, well, this recording, Brad, I think might be one we would want to post, I think.
Okay, yeah, especially the
This is
first,
sort of good news for the field, eh?
yeah, especially this first part. I can, and Candice mentioned tubulitis. That's an important observation, and yeah, tubulitis is, yeah, and arteritis too, I guess. But
Yeah.
that's sort of like margins, I guess.
Yeah, similar significance.
Do you have nanostring data, or do you have like the DSP, like the digital spatial profiling, or 10F?
Visium.
Oh, Visium. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Well, look forward to that. Thanks for letting us know. Yeah.
It's not single cell, right?
No, it's Visium. So the histology is from frozen tissue is applied to a Visium pre-hybridized construct. And then a hexagonal pattern of tissues are removed and analyzed per circular region. So the spatial resolution now is not at the cell level, it's locales, which
Okay.
are, so, but they're coming out with the second generation, which will be much finer pitch, which will start approaching single cell.
Yeah. You see that also now with the, let's say, the DSP, the digital spatial profiler, also has a
Yes.
new device, the Cosmix. That's actually subcellular. It's pretty interesting,
Yeah,
Yeah, I
so you'll
know.
be able to
but
characterize
not high
subcellular.
throughput. Yeah.
Yeah, but
That's,
the problem that that's already been noted, both in the larger spots and the smaller spots, is carryover.
Yeah.
So just as if you did PCR for RNA or DNA, because of the physical manipulation of the tissue, the DNA is of course so small it gets essentially smeared, right? So there is some spatial carryover, which is going to reduce the spatial fidelity of, what I guess in physics you call point spread function. How precise are the locales? And that remains to be seen. Maybe there are ways to clean it or wash it or, purify it so that it's more precise. But there's a lot of characterization that needs to take place with these new techniques to find out what their limits of spatial precision are. Well, there's spatial precision and accuracy.
What is the resolution now for Visium? What's the?
I think it's
how big are-
45 or 50 microns. So, but there's a spacing between the circles too.
Yeah,
So
that I remember.
they're
Yeah.
proposing to go down to 5 microns.
Okay, that's nice. Yeah, we do that now for mass spec imaging. We go back
Oh,
to 5 microns. So this is actually single cell level.
You must be suffering from information overload. I mean,
Yeah, these files are pretty big.
yeah.
But yeah, of course, we also try to overlay them with histology. For frozen section, yeah, the morphology, of course, is a problem. But there's some, at least, mass spec imaging proteomics you can do also on FFP tissue. And that works. That's very promising, I think.
Yeah.
And imaging mass cytometry, the antibody, let's say, where the cytometry that you can do on the slides as well. It's very high resolution. Yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, I can actually just show one snippet without
Yeah, it would be
divulging
nice,
anything,
yeah.
just to give people an idea. So this is like a 900 megabyte single TIFF of a single Visium. And so the data we're going to be collecting is going to be gigabytes per Visium, which is going to be a problem. I mean, we'll obviously have to collapse it. Let me see if I can share.